Hello and welcome to the Dad and Buried podcast. We are back from summer vacation. It is Lee
Yes.
Feldman. I honestly, it's been so long since we've done an episode, I forgot. It is. My name is Mike, aka Dad and Buried. And
There you go. As always.
As always, I blew it.
You blew it.
I'm joined by my founding co-host and
founding
friend,
co-host. There we go. Yes, thank you.
It has been quite a few weeks as we've been traveling, not particularly far, but taking a break from the rat race.
Yeah. Summer hit us. Summer 21, where we're just finally getting over all this business, family trips and whatnot, getting out.
Yeah, it's my parents' 57th wedding anniversary this weekend coming up.
Wow.
So I'll be in Connecticut celebrating them.
Oh wow.
So that will be exciting. Hopefully it will be warm enough to use their pool. Obviously we're celebrating them, but the pool is a nice perk.
And let's hope it's less than 2,000 degrees, which it has been in the city.
Oh my God, yes. Let's hope. But it's funny. So my parents are a little bit relevant. I do want to mention tonight's topic. So tonight's topic is well-rounded kids. How important it is to have them.
How to get them. Where they live, what their names
how you
are,
can acquire them,
how to just actually physically take them. Yeah.
And whether it's important. First of all, what it means, because there's a lot of confusion in my comments about what it means. Even you and I had a quick discussion before the recording started, and you don't understand exactly what I mean. That's why I mentioned my parents. I think some of it may be slightly generational. And also, if you do want a well-rounded kid, how you acquire one, as you said, not just snatching.
Yeah. No. Listen, here's the deal. You need a van, preferably white. Mm-hmm. Just some kind of sliding door on the side. Not a lot of obstructional chairs, and then just any kind of offer. Kittens, candy, maybe preferably both.
Hopefully the van is carpeted.
Yeah,
that's always nice, right?
As I told my kids this summer, because they were out and about by themselves, like walking around, because they're that age.
Do that?
They're in a beach town, sure. And I said, listen, if anyone approaches you, you make sure you either get candy out of the deal, some kind of kit, and a lift home. I mean, come on.
Even if it's your new home.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so it doesn't have a lot of windows. Whatever, you're home now.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah. You know? Hey, if you lived here, you'd be home now. That famous saying.
That's good. That's what kidnappers should put on their vans. If you lived here, you'd be home now. We're kidnappers. We're
just appeal to the logic of a small child. It's just not that hard.
So you had a lovely vacation with your children, who were apparently old enough to go do things independently.
Yes.
Mine are not. We had a little bit of spotty weather, but we powered through. We made it to the beach 4 out of the 7 days. It was very nice. A lot of shark. We were on Cape Cod, so a lot of shark paranoia. Didn't help that we watched Jaws 2 in the middle of the trip, but it was my 10-year-old choice. It was my 10-year-old's choice, no joke. We didn't see. I was talking to Mama Buried. I've never seen a shark like out in the water. You see plenty of seals, and they say if you see a bunch of seals, be wary because they attract bigger predators. Or other predators, and I would like to see, I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I would like to see a little fin scooting by.
I don't know, man. No, we saw a bunch of dolphin. That was pretty cool. Nice. Off the coast, off the shore. It's strange when we were on the Jersey Shore, and it's strange to think that you can be in the Jersey Shore and just see just a massive pod of dolphin.
Well, usually all you see are gorillas and the kind of guys that Snooki wants to date.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, with their hair spiked up. I mean, that's obvious. Well, that's just the type of person that I'm attracted to the most.
Well, obviously.
That's why I go there.
So hold on. At the risk of going really off track, that was the thing that always confused me the most about those shows. Not that Jersey Shore type girls as they were portrayed, like Snooki and Jay. Wow. Not that those kinds of girls exist, but that those kinds of girls were interested in those kinds of guys. And it's just this is such a weird, how do you grow up attracted to someone like that? They're so grotesque. No offense to some of my Jersey 4.
Oh, whoa. No. So you know what's so interesting? There are a lot of, first of all, the Jersey Shore, there's a lot of very beautiful towns. There are a lot of kind of, kind of more of the people type towns. Now, what a lot of those people like all like Snooki and all those people, they're all from Staten Island.
Yes, I know.
So
I watched the
so
show.
just
They would say at the beginning, like, "Oh, he's from Staten
yeah,
Island."
yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
So
"Oh."
like just to be really clear, the people that are in Jersey, there's the part of the shore that I go to, it's really much more Philly crew, which in and of itself is a whole
Yes.
another sort of genre
Ball of wax.
of
Yeah.
of person, with all the beauty and the horror that you it's just great. It's just a beautiful
The beauty
beautiful
and the
mix. Beautiful mix. Yeah. So anyway, it's good. It was good.
We should do a live watch of the pilot of the Jersey Shore sometime. And just
That would, you know what? Yeah, just like Mystery Science Theater 3000 type.
Have you
deal.
Have you seen even 5 minutes of that show, Jersey Shore?
I think. Well, I'm pretty sure I was in college or
No way. It was
graduated.
It was well after college.
Okay, all right. Well, I was definitely drinking and drunk at the time.
Yeah. So
that much I am sure of.
I watched it. It was a sensation, and like most reality shows that I ever give a shot, I ditch pretty quickly. So
I remember one of the girls was punched. Wasn't one of the girls punched? That was horrible.
I don't know. There were a lot of gorillas on that show, so they were throwing punches and throwing feces everywhere. Anyway, we're talking about well-rounded kids this week. I don't know that I would call any of them well-rounded kids, but nobody seems to know what I mean when I say well-rounded kids. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to get into that and explain to everybody what a well-rounded kid in my eyes is, and then people will.
No. It's just going to be you, Mike. This is your show. I want you to tell people what a well-rounded kid is, and then end the conversation.
This was what my approach to the topic was, but as often happens with you and I, we have slightly different perspectives or perceptions of even what the topic is. So we'll figure it out when we come back.
All right after this.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Dad and Buried Show. Tonight we are going to be talking about well-rounded kids. Before we did that, I want to remind everybody, you can find us on YouTube if you want to see what we're wearing. As usual, I look great, and Pete, he looks like he just got out of a dumpster.
A very high-end dumpster.
Please like and subscribe to the Dad and Buried podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and tell your friends. Throw us some dough on Patreon if you like. We appreciate all your support. We were just back from vacation, so hopefully hit our stride as we head into fall. I can't believe it's mid-July already.
Oh, I know.
Insanity. So I wanted to talk about well-rounded kids, and I don't like when I came up with the topic and was talking to you about it like this morning, I remembered exactly why it came to me and what it made me think of, or why I thought of it. Now I can't, but I'm going to tell you my dad.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is going to be one rip roar episode.
So
I can't remember.
No, I just can't remember the inspiration for it, but this is one of them. It wasn't the immediate inspiration, but every once in a while I get a lot of PR pitches, right? Because I have a byline in a handful of places and a blog and stuff. So I'm on lists and I get random pitches, some of which have nothing to do with me.
Hello, North Brooklyn Parental Magazine.
Yeah, that's right. I am in that. So I get one from time to time about college kids or getting your kids into college and stuff. And one of the buzzwords, at least back when we were growing up, for getting into college was you needed to have a well-rounded application or be a well-rounded kid. So what I'm talking about when I mean well-rounded isn't quite that, although I think some of it is linked with that, where you need stuff on your resume or whatever to get into college. But what I mean is from a parent's perspective, trying to raise a well-rounded kid, meaning a kid who, sure, likes video games, but also likes to go outside and play soccer or do outdoor activities, but also likes to read and also maybe plays a musical instrument, right? And I'm wondering if people care about that anymore, or if they're good with kids being into niche things or into what they're into and being very I'm gonna let my kid be who he is, which is something that's still relatively nascent idea about parenting. I'm gonna let my kid have his own identity and forge it himself and not try to push him down any path. But I wonder, don't you want? For me, it's not so much as developing a well-rounded kid. It's giving my kid as many opportunities to try stuff that he may or may not end up liking. Right? Show it to him young, and then hopefully, as I think about this, this summer, we have that vacation. We're going to be doing a little bit of traveling, but we don't send our kids to camp, partially because with the traveling schedules, it's hard. But so a lot of times we wake up and I have work and Mom and Buried isn't feeling great or whatever. and the kids are just playing video games. They'll play for a long time. It'll be nice, and we have a little backyard, and it's really hard to get them to go outside. They're not in any summer sports, right? They're not doing anything like that, which is, partially a pandemic thing, partially just our style, and partially just we're lazy, and I always miss deadlines for signing up for things. We're not going to do any sports. It's usually me, but like sometimes I worry, like, oh, is my kid like you said earlier, like to me, being able to like throw a ball or something. It's not so much I want you to be like a varsity athlete, but like having a variety of interests, having a baseline set of like abilities, right? And I wonder if that's a thing anymore, because I think it very much was for like my parents, at least, maybe not my parents' entire generation of parents, but felt like it was for my parents, the way they raised me and my brothers. But a lot of people responded to my question being like, what does that even mean? What does that mean in today's world? And some people were like, I just want my kid to be like kind and not a bully and not an a-hole. And I'm like, yeah, obviously I agree with that. And even you, what did you say before that you thought it was off the top of your head?
Just that you could not only hold a conversation, but you could also you could take a test, and you could throw a ball, like you could well-rounded.
Right, you weren't a nerd or a jock. You were like right in the middle, and you could like socialize and be sociable, and you're not like in the basement playing Dungeons and Dragons. Right. If you play Dungeons and Dragons, fine, that's great. But if you're also the quarterback, that's better, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's I think that is I think it's a good thing to think about, and I think we should do another topic, specifically on boys, on young boys, actually, because this is something that's really interesting. I personally feel like I've seen it a couple times where my son is kind of at the age where he's starting to game, but I don't really want to get into that just yet. Specifically about video games, specifically about teenage boys online, because there's something very specific about that, and can't wait to find out. And that actually ties into going outside or not going outside, or playing or packing up, right? What I mean by packing up is like, if you're a kid, if you're a young kid, if you're a young boy, especially, we were, we would roll with other boys, the other young kids, and we would like run, there would be like 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 kids that would go to the park and ride your bikes, or then you would go over here, and and then of course what happens as you get older, you kind of start to, and we've all seen them, whether it's on the subway or at the park or whatever, and you kind of feel, you get that like thing where you're like, we're trying to have a sense where our kids can go out and ride their bikes outside and have fun, but not cause any mayhem or damage. It's like the window that we've identified for what we want our kids to do and to not do is so specific.
Not okay,
that it's actually kind of hard, like this well-rounded concept. Like, I want you to play sports, but I don't want you to be so focused on it. But also, I really want you to apply yourself, but also I want you to apply yourself to reading too. And if you could just also
chill. Don't
yeah. But just relax. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some me time. But you call that a dinosaur? You drew this? This is horrible. This is the worst thing. This is not even a tree. Come on. So we have all these expectations. And I think,
but that point, I think the expectations are different. Whereas my parents weren't worried so much about like, they had kind of general behavioral guidelines, but it was more like, I want to set my kid up to succeed. And in doing that, it wasn't necessarily like they're thinking about the college application, but there was a fair amount of that kind of talk.
Yeah.
Probably not in elementary school, but very much like, you want to get into college, you need this on your application and all that kind of stuff.
I'm kind of more on the pushing side. Like, I like to push my kids to do things. Try things. Like I told you that, I think my soccer story with my middle child daughter, who was like crying and didn't want to go. And she was like, I don't want to have any of this. And I was like, look, here's the deal. One more season, and then you can, and then whatever you want to do, it's over, because you've given it 2 seasons. I get it. You can't quit after 1 season.
So if you had said 1 more season and then it's up to you, and she was like, I'm out.
Yeah, I would have been like, okay. I would have been okay. And what happened is we did 1 more season, and it became her identify, like, she is absolutely so into soccer.
Okay, but if she were only into soccer, and I'm not even necessarily talking about like to the detriment of grades or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking more about like, just as a person, right? If she were only into soccer and just had basically like tunnel vision, super focused. Now, on one hand, a lot of people who are successful knew that they wanted to do whatever they ended up doing when they were like 8 or 10, right? Having that kind of drive and single focus, I think, can be really helpful. I never had anything like that. I still don't know what I want to do, right? That kind of thing. So on one hand, that can potentially be great for the kid's future. I don't know what it necessarily is like to be like that kid when you're younger. But the point is, it's not whether she's good at soccer or great at soccer. At a certain point, when you're really good at something and you're dedicated to it, it kind of, everything else kind of disappears around it just by necessity of the schedule and all that kind of stuff. But just like I don't think any of us really just wants like the jock kid or the math kid or whatever. You would hope that your kid is good at a lot of stuff, or does nobody really care about that and they just want, obviously, their kid to be happy.
Well, I mean, that's it, right? Like,
if good at something.
Yeah, I mean, it goes along with that. It's I do feel, I'm a believer that you need to react to something. And if there's no friction, you're just not going to get anything, right? Like if I'm like, hey, what do you want to do? And the kid's like, nothing. I'm like, okay. Yeah, that's just how it's always going to be, because there's zero friction there. And guess what? That's going to be that way forever. But if I'm like, actually, no, here's the deal. You have to come out. We have to go out. We're going to go to the park. We're going to do something. Right. We're going to go hit the ball against the wall. We'll do it for 20 minutes or whatever. And guess what? It's like it always happens where you're doing it for 5 minutes or whatever it is, and all of a sudden the kid starts getting it, and you're like,
it's even before that happens. It's like once you can get the kid out of the house, like it's like they can't foresee themselves having fun doing anything besides what they're doing right then. But once you get them there, you get them over that hump. A lot of times, like I know with my 10-year-old, it's so often where like my wife, while I'm working, my wife will be like, all right, I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to bring, the hammer, the little one, Detective Munch, do you want to come? And he'll be, even if he's doing nothing, he'll just be like, it's inertia, right? He'll just be like fine doing what he's doing. And then she'll leave, and then he'll realize, wait, I probably should have gone, right? It's just, he needs that kind of motivation or something. Once he realizes, now I'm even more bored, I should have gone and done that. And then when they go and do stuff, once you get past that barrier, inevitably, has a really good time. And it's just, it, for whatever reason, that barrier never goes away, though.
No, well, but it never goes away. And maybe this is important. And I feel like this is, I don't know, I feel like this is why these last few episodes have started to get more, having a really serious dialogue about, the kids that we're raising, this generation that we're raising, because that's really what it is. It's an entire mindset. It's dealing with all of this digital, world that's totally brand new. It's digital, changing industries, yada yada. But at the end of the cornerstone of it, the focus is really this, as you say, the inertia. Like how much friction are these kids coming up against in their life? We're very quick. We're very quick to, and in many ways, it's always the same. It's always the case where it's like the truth. It's percentages of truth. It's really not one or the other. It's really percentages of truth, with the exception of who won the election. However, but the point is,
installed in August.
Well, but you know what? At the same time, I mean, that's kind of what I'm alluding to at the end of the day, which is when you remove friction, when you make it easy for people just to do whatever they want, you end up with something like that. And so what you end up with is maybe not a well-rounded person, because that person is only sitting on their computer
in their bubble
doing the thing, and that the propensity. So what happens is when you're younger, you can't imagine, like your brain is not big enough to imagine how much fun it would be to go to the park. So you, as a parent, you have to be like, no, you don't understand. You have to go with me now, or there's no more screen. There's an ultimatum. It's like you have to go, because not only do you have to run around, I know you need to blow off energy, and we're just going to go. And that's basically our philosophy, which is just like, get these guys. But here's the beauty part. Then at 3 p.m. you get them home, start putting them in the bath, and by 5 o'clock it's dinner. You just have a long runway, parents. Come on.
Cracking the beer.
There's multiple ways you can do this, yeah. But
So-
getting them out of the house is really important. At least that friction part, right? Like to just like, you know, you're gonna have a tough time getting them out of the house, getting them dressed up to go in the snow, whatever it might be, or going to the beach even, which is your favorite.
Though, that I thought was interesting because this came up a little bit, at least an aspect of it, right? So you basically were talking about how it's easy these days for like kids to for anybody to fall in kind of their own bubble where they find their interest or they find their people or whatever, especially online, and they're just in there and they got blinders onto everything else and they can have their own reality and all that crap. Not 100% what I want to get into, but one of the things that came up because people didn't 100% understand what I meant, although they kind of did about well-rounded, was people, because one of the question I asked was, how do you raise well-rounded kids, or how do you get them to be well-rounded? And a lot of people were basically like, they need exposure to things, right? So in a lot of ways, what they were talking about was, you know, museums, books, different people, different cultures, foods and stuff. And we did an entire episode on, you know, living in the city versus living in the suburbs. And while there's, you know, pros and cons to both, one of the pros of living in the city, especially one as cosmopolitan as New York, is just the inherent diversity, and there's just no way to live your life here and not bump up against people.
Right.
I mean, I guess there are ways, right? If you lived in like Bensonhurst or whatever, I don't even know what it's like, but the neighborhoods can be pretty discreet. But it's hard to not, like, my kids are in school with all sorts of kids with all different ethnicities and religions and all that stuff, and I think that exposure is really good. I wasn't necessarily talking so much about exposure like that as I was like talking about exposure to, you know, make a kid who is a bookworm try Little League, right? Make a kid who only likes soccer, you know, go fishing.
Right. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, exactly.
Right? Or like make a kid who loves playing football write a poem or something like that. Like, and that's what kind of the point of elementary school, aside from the building blocks, but also like a liberal arts education, right? Is you just get a handful of different, maybe you're master of all trades or a jack of all trades and a master of none. A lot of people would say, but getting exposure, all that kind of stuff when you're a little kid or when you're a kid is what gives you the opportunity maybe a little bit later be like, okay, I'm interested in this. I'm not inherently, you know, prejudiced against something like this I've had no exposure to. And I just think, like you said with the soccer thing, it's not as easy as being like, hey, look, that's soccer, right? It's like you need to, there needs to be some kind of like work ethic attached to it for a little while to get them over the hump of being like, I'm not interested in this. And then like, I'm not good at this, which is hard to get them used to. Right. And it's not even that. Again, it's not even, I wasn't like some kind of star athlete, but I liked playing like stickball and pick up basketball and stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You don't have to be good at it. It's just about having interest aside from fucking Breath of the Wild.
Well, that's right. I mean, and actually, so it goes to my eldest daughter did ballet that was her thing. She was a ballerina, and that was her number one focus. And I say was because now she's in high school. She had to choose, and she's chosen school, and not focusing on dancing, basically.
Right, but not closing the door, just
not closing the door. But I mean, you know, it's exactly. She's gonna take that kind of focus and apply it to different things, and she wants to do volleyball. So ballet is a very individual sport, right? It's
art.
It's discipline. It's art. Sure. It's all these different things, right? But she was never on a team. And this is the thing, which is, you know, which is so different.
Because she was doing ballet, she's never been on a team.
She's never been on a team. And by the way, like it's like the whole concept of like, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. So it does matter whether you win or lose, but it also matters whether you show up and you play well, or you you know, you might not be the best, but just like if you don't try and like that kid, remember that kid I told you about a couple episodes back who just like was being a total dick face and like not playing his position whatsoever, even though I was telling him to, yelling at him. And then he let a goal in, and the thing that I was saying before after when he did that was the reason that happened was because you weren't where you were supposed to be. And that's okay. You know, like being like, I think, you know, I think, all right, you want a well-rounded kid. Part of it is pain. Pain is going to be part of it. Pain in different ways, right? So pain in getting your kid off their ass and having that argument to get them to the park. Pain in, maybe the kid not feeling great all the time because maybe someone, told him he shouldn't do something or she shouldn't do something that they should have done or vice versa.
He let that goal in because he wasn't in the right place.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And, none of us want like our kids to be that kid, but sometimes you have to be. Everyone has to be.
2 steps forward.
Exactly. And I think that's where we have, and the reason that story was so important, and just to be clear what the story was, is that the kid let in this goal, even though I was telling him what to do. And then his dad, right after I had said, look, they scored because you weren't in position, the dad immediately came up to his son and let him off the hook and said, don't worry, it's not your fault. It could have happened to anyone. And that to me kind of sent me in a tailspin, and I like started questioning everything I've ever known about reality, because I was like, holy shit, we're raising a bunch of kids that are so devoid of what the fuck this life, like this shit is hard, man. Like we are getting, like you and I didn't get here by necessarily coasting. It's work. I mean, okay, one of us didn't get here.
So, but it's funny
though, working hard.
But the point isn't like you don't need that kid to be great. You just need him to, participate and to try and to like, if you were in the right place but still like blew the play, that's different than just like his head in the clouds and not paying attention or whatever, right?
Exactly.
So that's sort of like the point isn't that you want your kid to be good at everything. That isn't what makes him well-rounded. It's that, and it's not even that like if he's really great at math, you want him to, it doesn't have to be. I guess
the idea is that
it's not about being good.
You want your kid to be discerning, and that this is a key.
You want him to be curious and like
curious, to have the ability to do critical thinking, and absolutely curious is probably the best way. Curiosity is the greatest word, because if your kid is curious, and the reason and the way to get your kid to become a curious adult is to expose them to a lot of different things, because the more that they get exposed, the less fear they have about something being different or strange or not normal. And
you need, at the same time, you need to help them understand that you're not necessarily looking for excellence at all those things, and it's okay to fail. It's the effort that needs to be there, which is what happened with that kid and his dad. The kid's dad was letting him off the hook and being like, it's okay that you didn't try, when in reality, you should be trying, even if you're not good, even if you don't like it, try it. And then, like you said, after like a year, if you're not into it, good. But if you don't really give it your all, you're never really going to know if you're good or not. And I just get concerned sometimes. It's not just that like, my 10-year-old kid, and it's been during a quarantine, a lot of it, and the pandemic and all that stuff, right? It's not his fault that he hasn't had as many like outlets and opportunities to do stuff, but he's pretty focused on video games and playing video games. And, it's ADHD, it's just his personality, it's the kind of stuff that he loves. And I just worry sometimes that more than anything that he's missing out a little bit, right, on like other stuff. And he's really turned off by like sports. And, that's something that kind of happens when you're really young, but he's never really given him a try even to watch him. We've tried him. We've also tried to get him involved in a bunch of different things that like we haven't gotten over that hump where, he's even gotten to the point where he put his own defenses down and can understand whether he likes something or not. And again, it's not the stuff that we're choosing for him that we want him to like. We just want him to be curious enough and explore and try a bunch of different things rather than just be so focused on one particular thing. Unless he becomes like a millionaire YouTuber.
Oh my God! At which point it's like, come here, son, yumma, yumma, yumma. Let me get you in a hype house, boy.
Keep turning that content out.
Come on.
You've got it.
What are you doing talking to me? Get on that internet, dude.
Honestly, you're wasting time in one-on-one interaction.
You could be streaming, drinking a bunch of Monster drinks. God, can't you think of me for once?
These kids are so selfish.
No, I think that's really interesting. Also, by the way, it's funny because it's interesting as well. But also, I think these kids will. I think just giving them a place to be curious is good, and this is why obviously school is so important. This is why in-person school is so important.
Yeah.
Like for example,
a good teacher, because some teachers stifle that curiosity.
Yeah, some teachers are real dicks. Let's be honest with you.
Most teachers. That's why they get paid so little. I'm just kidding. We love teachers. My brother's a teacher. We love teachers.
No, but so my middle daughter, the soccer player, literally the last 3 weeks of middle school, but just before graduation, started asking to go to the park all the time, and not just any park, the skate park. And next thing I know, I'm like, I show up and she's like on this like penny board, skating, like totally like crushing it, like really like I like, how long have you been skating? She's like, oh, like Friday. I'm like, which Friday? Like how many Fridays ago?
Good
She's
Friday.
like, yeah. And that's the kind of thing where it's like just that group is kind of now, or was about skateboarding, and now we got her a skateboard and like she's kind of doing it, and so that natural curiosity, to your point, is interesting, and that's something that I never would have ever like kind of thought about.
It's funny because you've got your older daughter was really driven and now wants to try something else, and maybe she become just as driven as that. It was funny because that story reminded me. So she went from middle school to high school and was like, I'm going to chill out on the ballet, partially because she wants to explore other things, which is
high school. Yeah. So in high school is when she did. Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I dominated the clarinet.
That's right.
That's right. When I went to college, I was like, I'm never letting anyone see me touch a clarinet.
Because I want someone to touch my clarinet. So I got to keep that under wraps.
Show them my literal clarinet. Until I got on social media and I played the 90210 theme. Remember, that was incredible. Yeah. Anyway, but like for me, your daughter reminds me, no offense, your daughter reminds me a lot of me and my journey.
My God, I have to go home immediately.
The difference being I didn't go from like being dedicated to the clarinet and the saxophone to, volleyball or anything. Really, I went to nothing and then I became a pothead in college. It's just how it goes. And whereas your daughter is honestly embodying what we're talking about, where part of it may be like I'm burnt out, part of it may be like I want to rebel a little bit against who I am and like try on a new persona, who knows, but part of it is clearly like I'm going to keep doing some of that, but I want to find out if I'm good at this or if I like this or if I enjoy this, and that's the kind of thing that's going to get her into Princeton.
I don't know, and we're still a long way. We're a long way off. There's a lot of different things that can happen. And by the way, the city is, it's hard to like you're raising your kids in the city versus suburbs. And I'll tell you, there was a time when we were growing up where like if you were raising your kids in the city, it was like if they were going to do crack, it was going to be in the city. Now people can really have a lot of access to crack and fentanyl out in the suburbs. So like it's really a toss-up. It's hard to tell whether they're going to be a drug addict. No
matter where they grow up.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Exactly. They can get fentanyl just about anywhere. But no, I mean, look, I think, however, it was a lot of, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to go ice skating or, and just kind of giving yourself that space, that mental space to be like, okay, let's set an objective today as a parent, right? Let's get the family doing something like, outwards. Now, skating with a 60-pound 5-year-old who just doesn't have any coordination, it's not fun and it's a miserable experience. And guess what? It's really simple. You just start a podcast, you start bitching about it, and then who knows where that it's great content. That's all it is.
That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all about. The great content. I don't care what it is. I just hope that when you're ice skating with your 60-pound 5-year-old, he doesn't throw up one of his 2 breakfasts on you. He's not even 5 anymore. He's 6. Yeah.
He's actually 7. So
we're good friends.
You really busted me on that one. I just reached into a bag and pulled out a number. I don't know. But yeah.
So one of the main things that people, because again, I didn't really articulate the question very well about what like I meant by well-rounded, which I thought was interesting in itself, that people had different ideas, but a lot of people were very much like, I mentioned the exposure thing, exposing them to culture and different experiences and stuff. Again, not exactly what I meant, but still good and important.
I think it's probably one of the most important. Yeah.
A handful of people were just like, I just want my kid to like not be a bully and to be nice and kind. We did an entire episode a ways back about like what we want our kids to be.
Yeah.
And the focus was very much on like decent, compassionate people, right? Both from us and from the listeners who commented. I think like when we were growing up, and even when our parents were growing up, I think it was much more like, we want you to be a productive member of society, or like, or be happy because you're successful and be fulfilled. Now it's very much like, be a good person, which
no, that's not what our parents wanted. First of all, let me just clarify a few things. Our parents didn't give a fucking shit about our happiness. What they wanted is some sort of Ivy League school that they could brag about. 2 is some kind of hedge fund job, because that was going in a great direction, and then anything that they could essentially use to basically be like, hey, see what I produced? I produced this
right.
this,
like
this product over here.
And it's a running joke in our family that my dad, first of all, my parents like made us all play musical instruments, at least try it for a little while. We did Little League and all that kind of stuff. But my dad was very much like, he wanted me to study business and Chinese, or not, computers and Chinese, because he saw that as the future. And the old man was wrong, by which I mean 100% correct. But I didn't do either of those things. Instead, I wasted the college career that I had, and now I host a podcast. And no, I'm not doing it in Chinese, although it is on computers.
So
you're welcome, Dad.
Take that, Dad. Look at me now.
But that was very much like it was very much. My brother has a joke where like he'll yell at my parents about like, why didn't you tell us money was so important? Which I think parents try to do that without saying it quite that way, right? They don't want to say you need money to be happy. They say, you need a good job and to be successful, to be fulfilled. But in reality, what they mean is you need enough money to not have to worry about money.
Yeah,
and it's not an easy thing to achieve.
You're right, but also this is where like that the percentage of truth kind of comes into it, because you then have generations and generations of like just awful, like mediocre lawyer, mediocre legal, the mediocre just, and by the way, mediocre is, I mean, we're talking like working for like Morgan and Morgan, the law, personal law injury, like,
kids going to
working for Fannie Mae, like that's, I'm an accountant for, I'm an accountant for Fannie Mae. Oh, what do they do? Oh, I get kids to pay me their hundreds of thousands of debt, dollars in student loan debt. Oh, cool. That's a cool job. Is it? No, it's really fucking not a cool job. It's the worst. But capitalism, and we went, we got a couple things wrong.
You think?
And I feel like that's cool, but let's kind of come back around. And here's the problem, unfortunately, and this is actually really unique to probably our situation more than even our younger listeners, which is, I think I consider myself incredibly lucky to have just been born when I was born, period, full stop. There's not even like and to whom and where and all the other stuff. I mean, it's just, when you start to look at it and you really start to think about it, it's undeniable the role that luck has played.
Oh, sure.
And now, okay, but you can't really hang your hat on luck. So you have to kind of, you kind of have to like say, okay, well, look, a lot of hard work and perseverance. But what we realize now is that it's actually not the entire equation. Hard work is a huge part of it, but it's not the entire part, because you can work really, really, really hard and still, because of the way that the system has been set up today, meaning over the past 40, 50 years, the way it has been set up, that it can actually keep you down. Like there's no amount of hard work.
Right? It depends. Like we're white men, right? So automatically we have a whole bunch of extra privileges that allow us to be successful, or at least skate by, right?
Yeah, but I guess what my point is and that is true, but my point is just even just the timing of everything. And so what does it all mean? It means that if a couple things, if we can thread the needle between making sure that our kids understand that life isn't all about the digital kind of, making memes, but also getting out there and experiencing it, and then being able to translate that into, yes, hard work is a crucial component of it. And what does that mean? It means grinding. You gotta grind. You have to grind.
Tag rise and grind.
I mean, it sounds boring.
But hold on.
You have to do that.
The grind thing, two things I want to touch on. One of the reasons I think that parents today are more focused on, hey, be happy, be compassionate, be decent, don't worry about being successful, is partially because, sure, like we're a little bit more enlightened in terms of that kind of stuff. We want to treat everybody with kindness and equality and kumbaya. But also it's because it's harder to be successful. It's harder to achieve the American dream that existed in a certain way back. We talked about this before, that there used to be kind of a blueprint that has kind of dissolved. The wealth inequality is blah, blah, blah. So it's a little bit easier to focus on intangible stuff when the tangible stuff isn't necessarily always going to be attainable.
Now that's true, but also workplace is changing. And so, honestly, as my entire career, I've probably worked for 9 or 10 actual psychopaths, screamers and yellers and whatnot. And
I worked for a guy who threw a coffee mug at somebody's head once.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the work. These were the workplaces that we kind of entered into, and our parents were very familiar with and whatnot, and we're so we're changing that, but at the same time we're it's like are we kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater and telling our kids that it wasn't their fault that the ball went in the net, even though they're the bloody goalie or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, which is kind of
trying to be like more compassionate. We talked about that recently. Like, are we
exactly
right going too far and raising a generation of cucks? Right. That was the words you used.
Did I say cuck? I don't know.
Cucks and snowflakes. No, I'm just making fun.
I don't even know if I know.
Making fun of people who say cucks and snowflakes and then insulting you by pretending you are one of them. That was the anatomy.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Well, look, I don't know, but I've been really thinking about this a lot, and I think I actually think it's really important, and it's becoming more important. I mean, this podcast has always been important to me because I've always wanted to figure out how I can try and be a better dad, right, and be a better parent. And what is that?
Not why I started this podcast.
Yeah. Cold hard cash. That's true. That's a good point, which I really admire about you. But I've really, it's evolved, and I think, our situation has evolved. And when we started this podcast, that we're in a different place now. And I look around and my kids are older and your kids are growing up, and it's like, it's really, there are nothing that we knew is as it was, right? Like however we grew up, it's so different now. And so we have to do the best we can with what we have. So we have iPads, we have screen time, and I don't think it's necessarily like no screen time versus some screen time. I think it's the quality of the screen time, right? Like, for example, if your kid goes, I just watched 4 hours of TV, you'd be like, what the fuck? And then they said, I just watched the entire Blue Planet series. You'd be like, yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you'd be happy.
But
is that actually being good for them, or are you rationalizing the fact that the TV?
I think it's fucking fantastic for them. Blue Planet
is the lesser of two evils. It's better than them watching Chunk. You think that that's better than like an 8-year-old experiencing life?
Well, what life are they going to experience for 4 hours outside in the real world?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they get in a van that has a nice
carpet, there
right?
we go.
Like we were talking about, and then they go somewhere else. They have a whole new life. You know what? They got to open their horizons. You're not going to do that watching Sigourney Weaver narrating Planet Earth.
Oh my God, you totally nailed it. Or David Attenborough, Sir David Attenborough.
Is that the Blue Planet one?
I haven't seen that. Planet. Oh God, the whole thing is so. Anything with the word Earth in is great, including Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, obviously. You don't need to tell our listeners that. My 5-year-old worships his favorite animals are number 1 is snakes, number 2 is dinosaurs, and number 3 is sharks. So the dinosaurs, I'm assuming, are not on Blue Planet because this is like current footage of animals, right? But I imagine there's some shark snake stuff going on.
It's the whole thing is. I mean, you've seen the iguana in the snake pit. You've seen the gifs of it, I'm sure. Oh, come on.
That's the kind of stuff I used to watch late night in college, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I certainly don't.
So I want to talk about a handful of the comments I got because a lot of people made jokes. Not as funny as the jokes that we make.
But please. I don't think have we made a joke in the last 5
so we're pretty serious. Yeah. Monty.D.77 says, because I asked, do you want your kids to be well-rounded? She said, at this point, I'd be happy if my kids end up a semicircle. So I think people are the expectations. I don't know if she means at this point, and based on like after the past like year and a half, because circumstances have certainly been different, and exposure to stuff and trying new things has been a lot harder. Tep Alexander says, I just want them to sleep through the night, bro. So she bristled against my kind of topic.
She's coming from you know what? It's been a tough night.
Yeah. She's like, I got smaller fish to fry. You stick to the philosophical stuff up your butt.
She's like, make with the memes.
Kim K79 said the best way to raise a well-rounded kid is to only have one kid. And I do think that there is some truth to just the level of attention that kid will get and the kid's relationship with the parents, in which case the parents it's gonna be a lot of like one-on-one time with your parents where you're getting exposed to like adult stuff. There's a joke that's been going around, I think, from the show Tina Fey's show on Peacock, Girls Five Eva, where they talk about like there's a woman who on the show is gonna she's wondering if she should have a second kid, and then she runs into like a bunch of celebrities in New York who have older kids who they call New York lonely boys, who are just more comfortable talking to adults than other kids, and they wear like fedoras and they're like just goofy, like they live in the city and they're only child of like well-to-do older parents, and it was just kind of a funny premise. And I do think that the kids, older like single kids, do get kind of a different experience in some cases. Some of them have the big village of all the other little kids around. But we've had a lot of problems with our two kids, especially our oldest kid, like being jealous of his younger brother and all that kind of stuff that happens with siblings. But if you just have the one kid, it's just like, all right, I'm going to the opera tonight. I guess you're coming, right? And then that kid is like, boom. Pagliacci, right?
Yeah, he's able. Yeah, there we go. That's all he needs.
So I hope that answers your question, Kim K79. Even though it was just a one-liner that I turned into a question.
Just take your kid to the opera.
So this is really weird, and I need you to help me with this one. TK Dino says, I taught my 6-year-old and 4-year-old daughters how to catch and throw farts. He says, I don't want them to feel like their bodily functions are shameful, which is great. They shouldn't. Plus, it's funny, he says. What is throwing a fart? Like catching it, like making it seem like it came from somewhere else, like a ventriloquist? Like
I'm pretty sure it means capturing it in the palm of your hand, most of the air in the palm of your hand, and then immediately like throwing it right into the face of someone who's sitting close by, which I'm pretty sure actually does work. And it's
like with a burp. If you burp and then you go and you blow it towards somebody. Same kind of concept.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Except if you were to burp into your hand like this and then just throw it, it would be as disgusting, and you would say, honestly, what the fuck are you doing? And then someone would be like, I'm just throwing a fart. But
that's assault, brother.
Now, let's talk about the real problem about this comment. What's the catching part? How am I supposed to catch your fart?
The catching part is the palm of the hand thing.
Wait, you want me to like sit there with my hands open?
No. I think the person who farts catches their own fart in order to throw it. I think that's what TK Dino is referring to. I'll have to ask him. Obviously, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about when I said raising your kids to be well-rounded is about catching and throwing farts.
Look, can you fart in your hand and can you put it in someone's face so they smell it? The answer is you absolutely fucking need to know how to do that.
TK Dino's 6-year-old and 4-year-old daughters are well on their way.
Yeah, there you go.
Fart throwers. So Athlete Mama was confused by the question. She said, WTF, I'm sure you know what that means. It's a family show. I won't get into it. Does well-rounded even mean? She says, am I even a well-rounded adult? And that made me think, I don't think it matters if you're a well-rounded adult. You're a finished product at this point. You know, incrementally, maybe there's some minute things that are changing. You go into therapy, I'm sure you're improving yourself. You know, I hope you are, right? We all should be. But as a again, like it's a developmental thing where
she's like, look, all I can do is I can catch farts. I can't throw them. I mean, I can play the piano. I can't speak Spanish. Yeah, but
as a kid, the whole point of it is to engender that kind of curiosity and ability to withstand, you know, not being good at something, and still enjoying it, right? And trying new things and having exposure to a lot of stuff, and, you know, being interested in music, and also, you know, playing video games, and like, but not being an incel just in their bubble, like being sociable and can, you know, maybe you go to what's that thing called Toastmasters? Maybe you take a Toastmasters class just to learn how to.
I gotta be honest with you. People who take Toastmasters are stupid dicks.
I've never been to one. I don't need one. I dominated my best man speeches. Come on, let's get real.
I know, but Toastmasters is like a corporate. It's like a corporate glee club for
sure, but
for people.
From what I understand, it can be really helpful to some people. Just get them, just in terms of like having.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I shitting on someone's parade? Guess what? I'm providing friction.
Do you think anyone has ever shitted on someone's parade?
Oh my God,
I'm being such a bully. On someone's parade, and I just wonder, like, do you think anyone has ever shit on someone's parade?
I am joking. But I do have kind of a weird.
You hate Toastmasters.
I do have a weird feeling against Toastmasters. I don't know what it is.
Water bottles.
Oh,
what are the other things you hate?
I really hate these water bottles, man. They have to be washed all the time, constantly washing these fucking water bottles. Oh, don't worry, because they all have a million parts. So don't worry if one of the parts doesn't fit.
That makes them easier to wash. It makes them easier to clean.
Oh,
like
that's
my Dyson vacuum cleaner.
Wait, you clean your Dyson vacuum cleaner?
No, but if
what are you, some sort of millionaire?
Something clogs it. You can pull out. There's a handful of pieces that make it a little bit easier to get to the source of the clog.
Oh my God.
Can I say though
that is so disgusting?
Can I say that it's not that great of a vacuum cleaner?
Whatever is clogging your Dyson? First of all, Dyson is like it's a cyclone.
It's like Lego.
So whatever's clogging it has to be some sort of like non-human made substance or some sort of just unbelievable, like just some kind of like wet goo of some kind. I don't know.
I just told you it was a Lego. Do you even listen?
I was too busy riffing. But now I'm listening.
You're riffing about the random unidentifiable wet substance that clogs Dyson.
Just whatever can clog a Dyson. I need to see this.
Do you believe in the myth of the Dyson brand name?
First of all, hold on. Okay, you're vacuuming. You see the Lego. It's obviously big. You can't not see the Lego. And you just, you know what it is? You know what it is? I know what happened. You were just like, no, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to see what happens. And then sure enough, oh, sorry, it's actually not just a brick. It's an entire wall to a building.
What it was I had told my kids to pick up their Legos 100 times. I was in the room vacuuming. I saw them. They saw them.
You're like, fuck these guys. Well, wait a second. It wasn't just one Lego. It was 25 bricks, wasn't it?
It was their huge Lego Millennium Falcon, and they deserved it, piece by piece.
Now let me ask you this. Did some of the bricks reconnect in the cyclone? That would have been kind of cool.
Well, you know what? That would not only would that have not been cool, it would have invalidated every time my kids have put together a Lego. If they can just kind of intuitively go together, then what are you even doing? You're not putting together Legos. You're just unboxing a sentient being that combines itself. What does that mean?
Unboxing a sentient being. God, that is what a Dyson is.
That's what I call pregnancy.
Oh, there we go.
I'm going to have Mom and Barry's unboxing video, if you know what I mean, in a couple of weeks. We have some home videos of Mom and Barry unboxing a sentient being.
Oh, my God. All of this is so horrible. Have you seen this new app, this Lego app you dump a pile of Legos?
Oh, I haven't used it.
And it'll identify them and then tell you what you can make. God, I fucking love the year 2021. What a
kids figure out what to build by themselves? This is what you're talking about. We're making things too easy.
Shut up. You've gone too far. You've gone way too far.
Maybe we'll talk about that next week. If you want to tune into that, you can catch us wherever you listen. Please subscribe and like. Catch us on YouTube. Throw some money on Patreon. Please leave us a review. Pete, you alluded to some kind of topic you were very vague about it that you wanted to touch on. What's it gonna be?
Well, I don't know what it's going to be, but we were talking about this whole the young boys, man. We got to talk about these kids.
Okay. So I did get a couple of good suggestions. So I think one Mom and Barry and I are going to do hopefully next week, and then another one that we made that I want to talk to you about. I don't know which of you guys wants to do it. I think maybe you, because we'll have you have girls and I have boys, right? So you have obviously a boy too, but we'll have a little bit different perspective. But if you guys, we're always looking for new topic ideas. Please feel free to DM me. You can email Pete at gofuckyourself. He doesn't even do email.
I don't do email. I don't. I do.
He hates social media. He tried it. Again, you're not curious enough to try it. You're scared to fail.
No, that's not true. I do like social media. I just think it has a very specific purpose, and it's for
voting podcasts.
Yeah, and just kind of putting kind of stuff out there. Yeah, it's got a specific purpose, but that's all I'm going to say about it. It's all good.
Wow. He does not want to upset the internet overlords.
Yeah, whoa. Hey, guys, TIWITTER is listening.
Yeah, Zuckerberg listens to this show. You kidding me? You know what?
Did I say TIWIT?
Yeah, you did. You don't know how to spell. You don't use social media. We forgive you. So we want to thank everybody for listening this week, and we will be back soon. We had a couple of weeks vacation. No more vacations for you, right?
Vacation brain. Yeah. Oh, well, I was working the second week, so yeah, I'm okay.
Nobody believes that, buddy. Down in Jersey Shore. Yeah, you were working at the T-shirt shop? That's a Jersey Shore.
Yay!
Season 1. I don't know. Snooki once commented on my Got Toddlered account, which if you don't follow that on Instagram. She commented.
Oh my God! Some of us fly a little too close to the sun, my friend.
What do you think is more impressive? That Snooki commented on one of my Instagram posts, or that Frank Stallone replied to one of my tweets? That's Sylvester Stallone's brother, Frank. Which one? Who's the bigger celebrity?
Well, okay. Give me years. Give me time frame.
Okay, so this
was it recent Frank?
No, but it wasn't like in the 70s at his heyday. Like I didn't have Twitter then. It was like 2013.
I think Snooki. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but Mike has back from prison. The situation is back from prison.
Tax evasion or whatever it was.
Yeah, and he's got this great, like a whole new vibe where he's just like talking about his prison days, and it's actually really great. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's like got these little like clips. Instagram? Yeah. He's got these like I've seen a couple of them where he's like little clips where he's like, oh, I'm like one day I was in the laundry, and you're like, oh God, this is gonna happen, and then it's like really a funny story about someone.
You get him on the podcast. We're gonna start having guests soon. We've been teasing it for a long time.
Yeah, let's get him
lined up. We'll bring on Mike the six pack. Mike the Situation Sorrentino? Is that his name?
Sure, I guess.
You know, don't pretend like you don't know. You were hanging out with him down at the Jersey Shore.
There we go. Yeah, I was.
GTL, Gym Tan Laundry with the Gorillas. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Continue to listen, and we'll continue to talk. Your tagline.
Is that a good? That's a horrible tagline.
I didn't say it was good. I said it was good.
Bye.
See ya.
I don't know why you would still be watching this. Isn't a Marvel movie, no matter how much I look like Paul Rudd, which you can deny it all you want. It's there in the eyes, I think. I'm young looking like him. If you enjoyed the podcast, which you obviously did or you wouldn't be listening still, sign up on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you want to listen to. Comment here on YouTube, subscribe, hit that like button. We want to hear from you. Comments, questions, dirty jokes, money, all the money you can give us. We'd love it all. Catch you next time.